Hi, I'm Stephen Onesick. Today's video, a PowerApp and flow to upload documents and properties, was inspired by my desire to share one of Power Platform's many gotchas. Hopefully I can shed some light on at least one obscurity. In SharePoint, creating a PowerApp for a SharePoint list is straightforward, but creating a PowerApp to upload documents and properties isn't. In this video, I'll demonstrate how to create a PowerApp and a Power Automate flow to upload a document with specific properties to a document library. Despite Microsoft's portrayal of the Power Platform as a no-code, low-code solution, it's not always that simple. I have 15 years of experience in SharePoint as a developer and also 3 years in the Power Platform. Recently, I earned my Microsoft Certified Power Platform Developer Certificate. In the next slide, I'll briefly outline the steps to demonstrate this topic. Slide 2, topics. I always like to see a road forward on any project that I'm doing. So the following steps, I'm not going to go into detail until we actually get into this step. Slide 3, solution demo. It's always nice to see a working demo before you build something. This will show the solution in action, and also we'll be able to see some of the peculiarities of the attachment control and the alternate way that we use the update file properties from the SharePoint flow action. We'll start our demo with the PowerApp and a simple screen. Essentially on the screen we have a few text input boxes for title and comment. We have a drop-down list for categories, and we have an attachment control. One thing to note about the attachment control is it is not native. It's not a native tool, so we actually have to extract it from a list, which we will do later on. So let's just start, just something simple. I'm just going to upload my resume. Okay, from the drop-down, simple list, and I'm just going to put something, programmers are not good with comments. And I'm going to attach a file. I'm going to attach my resume. I'm going to open it, and now I'm going to upload. Notice once it uploads, it clears the controls so that we can do it again. Now let's go to the flow that's behind this in Power Automate. Let's refresh so we see the latest execution. And here, 15 seconds ago, this flow ran. The flow is fairly simple. It has a PowerApp trigger with 2 parameters. JSON parameters and a file. This is all one file. It creates 2 variables, which are just hard-coded strings of the site address and the document library name. It uses those variables in the create file and the update file properties. Now, one thing to notice about the update file properties, we see the item field. And you can only see the item field if these come in as variables, okay, which they do. And so let's look at the actual editing of the flow. And one thing I want to show you, again, JSON parameters, file, contents, and here we have the item property. And I want to show you the difference between when you have, these are actually coming from variables for your site address and your library name. Now if we actually add another control, we'll just update file. Let's see if we get the update file properties here. Okay, and at this point we're just going to load the site in from our list. Okay, it's from IT Assets. So let me look for IT Assets. And now it's in the IT Assets and it's looking for its document libraries. So it'll find that. Now this is coming directly in, but notice that we now have the title property category. These are individual things we have to fill in, whereas if we do it with variables, we get this item ID where we can put a string of properties in. And that's all I was wanting to show you there. So let's look and see if this actually created a document where we said it was. Okay, so we had a document about 3 minutes ago. It came in with the title, which we set, the category, which we set, and the comments, which we set. Okay, so this kind of concludes the demo. Here's where we build the project from scratch. To ensure that I have a completely reproducible project, we will first build a simple SharePoint list where we extract the attachment control and a document library with 2 properties. Next, we'll build the PowerApp. In the PowerApp, we need to connect to the SharePoint list for the attachment. We need to build a new screen, insert a form attached to the SharePoint list for the attachment, extract the attachment control, delete the form and connection, clean up the errors on the attachment control, and finally we need to add labels, text input, and a drop-down control and a button. And at that point we need to build the flow so that we have something to attach to. Then we need to attach the flow to the PowerApp, configure the upload button, and finally we'll demonstrate the working solution. We'll start off in SharePoint. The reason I'm starting here is because if you want to build a project from scratch, you need these pieces. There won't be any heavy lifting. We're going to create two SharePoint objects, a SharePoint list just so that we can extract the attachment control, and a SharePoint document library to upload to. So the first thing that I'm going to do is create the list. And I'm just going to create a blank list called Attachment Demo. We're not going to add anything else to it. The next thing we want to do is create a document library. Again, it's going to be blank, and we're going to call the document library, just for consistency, Upload Documents Test. We're going to create two simple properties, and I prefer to create them from the library settings, more library settings. And the two properties are category and comments. And I'm just going to create simple text, simple string variables, text variables. 75 should be sufficient, and I'm going to create the comments as a multi-line text box. It's multiple lines of text, and that's probably about all we want to say about it. One additional thing, I'm going to edit our default view, and I'm going to move title to the third place. And I'm going to move category to the fourth place. And I'm going to move comments to the fifth place. Okay, that should take care of all that we need for the SharePoint library. Now we're ready to build the PowerApp. Let's start with the page design of a blank canvas. Once that loads, we're going to adjust some settings. Okay, we're going to go into the settings, change the name, and also we want the modern themes and controls. So I close there. Next thing we're going to do is connect to the SharePoint list for the attachment demo. It's in the IT site, and it's called Attachment Demo. Okay, we're going to connect there. And let's go back to our forms screens. We're going to add a new screen with headers and footers. We're going to name that screen Upload Document Screen. And we're going to delete the footer and the main container because it's a vertical container. And I'm just going to add a container, a regular container, to the screen container group. So now we are going to add a header control. And I'm going to change the theme. I'm going to change the theme to green and go back to my forms. Now we're ready to add the form for the attachment control. So we insert a form and connect it to the attachment demo. So we got a form and we connect it to the attachment demo. All we are worried about here is the fields. We want to make sure the attachment displays, and right now we're not seeing it. So I'm going to add a field for the attachment. I'm going to add that. And once I have that field on there, I'm going to click on the attachment by itself and do a Control-X to delete it from there. And then I'm going to add it to the screen, to the container. So I add it to the container, and I'm going to resize it a little bit. And now what I want to do is I want to remove the form. So I delete the form. And I can also delete the attachment link connection. So I'm going to remove that as well. Let's go back. Okay, I'm going to move the attachment over here, and I'm going to get rid of the errors. So let's just click on these until we click through them. There's no parent, so I got rid of that. We don't care about the tool tip, so I'm going to delete that. And for the border color, I'm just going to make it black. I'm just going to say color black. COLOR.BLACK. So we have a black color. Okay, we do not have any more errors. At this point, we're going to start inserting 4 labels, and these labels will just identify the controls. Nothing special about them. And I'm just going to use the old label, text label. So I'm going to make them just a little bit bigger. So a little bit bigger, and I'm going to change the font size to 20. 20. Okay. Enter. And now I'm going to do a Control-C and paste them 3 times. And move them to where they'll be above the controls. So that one I'm going to call attachment. This one is going to be called comment. C-O-M-M-E-N-T, comments. And that one is going to be called category. And the top one's going to be called title. Now we need to insert 2 text input controls. First thing I want to do with that text input controls, I want to put a border on it because I keep losing them. So 1 pixel, and the color is going to be black. And now I want to do a Control-C and a Control-V to paste it. And I want to put the one for comments here, but for the comments I want to make it multi-line so I can kind of spread it out a little bit more. And these controls, I want to put names on them. So this is going to be txtComments. This is going to be txtTitle. Now I want to add a drop down. So I'm going to insert a drop, and I'm just going to use the old classic one. I want to use a drop down control. And instead of what's showing in it now as drop down sample, I have a little bit of code for the items. Okay. And I'm going to just substitute that in there, which will just give me a couple of different values. And it'll say please select. Now I want to insert a button. This is going to be a button for the upload to start it. Okay. I don't know why they make the button so small, but they do. So I'm going to change my button size, and I'm going to make the text on that, the font size, I'm going to make 20. 20, and I want to I want the text to display upload, load, and the button to be called, the control to be named btnUpload. One additional thing I want to do before we make the flow is I want to, on the display mode, I want it disabled until everything is filled out. So I have some code for that as well. So I want to go to the display mode. And instead of being DisplayMode.Edit, I want to copy some text. And I'll explain it in just a second. And all the code will be listed below the video description. So let me drop that down and make it a little bit bigger. So here is exactly, okay, let's see if I have got before I explain it, let me make sure. Does that say text title? Oh, I needed to label the category. dd category. Why? txt comment and the attachment control I did not label. I need to or AttachmentsCtrl. My bad. Okay, let's look at the code one more time and see if we got rid of the errors. Okay, so let me explain it to you. Basically, I'm saying if the title is blank, or the comments are blank, or the selected value says please select, or the attachment control is not equal to 1, then I want it disabled. Otherwise, I want it. Otherwise, show it. So at this point, we are ready to build the flow. So we want to create a new flow, and it needs to be an instant flow. The flow name, we're going to use the same name as the demo we saw. So I'm going to call it upload document with JSON parameters, and it's got to be called from a PowerApp. So we'll go ahead and create it, and I will get out of the new designer. So we're going to create 2 parameters. The first is going to be text, and I'm just going to call that JSON params. It's going to be our JSON string, and the next input is going to be a file. And that'll actually have 2 parts, the content and the name, but you don't see it here. We're going to create 2 variables. One for the site address and the other for the document library. It's going to be a string, and this is just going to be the path that we have on our SharePoint library. So you can't, it's out of your, but basically I'm copying the URL at the top. So it's going to be my IT site. So it's going to be my IT site. Okay, new step, we're going to have another variable, which is going to be the document library. And it's going to be a string, and it's just going to be the name, upload doc test, of the library we built. Now I'm going to do a create file in SharePoint. And instead of actually pointing it to a site from the list and scrolling down, we're going to add a custom item. And that custom item will allow us to pick the dynamic value for the site address, which is just a hard-coded string. And we're going to do the same thing for the document library. Now for the site contents, we're going to get it easily from the file contents, or the file contents. But there's no drop down for the name, but it's easy enough to create. Let's bring this up, and I'm going to paste what I got for file contents and just change this string to name with a small m, and you'll see the parameter as we create the command button on select. So I'm going to copy that right there, and I will just, it will be the file name. Okay, we're going to have a new step, which is update file properties. Okay. Once again, we are going to do the same thing with the custom list. I mean, with our variable. We're going to scroll down till we see site address, and we're going to do the same thing for document library. Document library, so that we have two variables loaded in there. This ID comes from when we created the file right there, so it'll be listed right here. And our item property will be the JSON string, the JSON params that we loaded. So I'm going to save this right here. And I'm going to go into PowerApps and connect it. Okay, it's fourth down and goal to go. We have two more things to do here. Well, we need to connect the flow to the PowerApp. So we go into PowerAutomate, and we're going to add the flow. And the flow is entitled Upload. Okay, Upload Document. Okay, so let me type this in. Upload Document with JSON parameters. Okay, once it's loaded, then we're going to load the OnSelect. We loaded the display, but now we're going to code the OnSelect or the execute part of this. Okay, to do that, I also have some code, which will all be listed below, and I'll explain it once I've loaded it. Now I'm going to let me go ahead and explain exactly what we have here. First thing we're going to do is set a global variable called jsonString. And that's going to be equal to this JSON function. And these are the property names, and they've got to be exact or this won't work. And we've got to make sure we've included all the required properties. But right now we have no required properties. So title is going to take the value from txtTitle.Value. Category is going to take the value from ddCategory.Selected.Value. And comments is going to take the value from txtComments.Value. Okay, once we've loaded that into a JSON string, then we're going to do a for all command. And I realize we only have one attachment, but it works for one or it works for many. And basically that for all is going to take the attachment and it's going to call the flow. And this flow name is essentially the flow without any, what we put in without any spaces and .run. Okay, and that's going to take two parameters. One's the JSON string that we built up here, and the other is a funny property, and it's got to be exact. It's the file. There are opening and closing braces around it. The file is colon, and there's another opening and closing. And content bytes has to be spelled exactly like that. And it's going to get the value and name, small letter name. I told you we had two things going in. It's going to get the name. Okay, once this is submitted, we're going to reset the controls so that it displays again without any data in them. So at this point, let's see if it works. So let's go ahead and push that back up. And we will first of all save and publish this just so we don't lose our work. Okay, so at this point, let's, okay, so same thing. Stevens resume. Okay, the category is going to be resume. Comments is going to be latest and greatest. And we're just going to add an attachment like we did before. Open. Now notice that enabled our upload button. And so we've uploaded and then we've reinitialized our controls. So let's look at the flow, and we see that about 13 seconds ago our flow succeeded. And again, I hate looking at that, so I will look at it this way. And basically we see that the update file properties worked. It took our JSON string and it uploaded it. Now let's check our SharePoint list to see if we got. So basically we got this, it was modified about a minute ago, and title, category, and comments. So that concludes our demo. Final tips and takeaway. A SharePoint list provides an easy interface to PowerApps, but a document library app requires a lot more work. And also, you need to connect a list for the attachment control. It can be any list, and the SharePoint Flow Action Update file properties presents the item field only when the site and the library are variables. And this allows properties to be submitted as a JSON string. Thank you so much for watching. Please tell me what you like or hate. There are 2 linked resources below the video description. One is an article entitled No Code, Low Code Bunk that's on LinkedIn, and the other is Passing the PL 400 Exam, Tips on Slaying a Monster. All code snippets are also below the video description, and I've also listed my contact numbers here, my phone and my email. And finally, I want to thank my friend and performing artist, Gabe LaRoe, for the intro and outro music.